Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Thomas. I'm the Executive Director of Occupier Services Singapore at Colliers International. Welcome to COVID-19 Now and Next, a podcast series hosted by Colliers International Occupier Services Asia, featuring conversations with leading business leaders on the effects of COVID-19 on real estate sectors and APAC occupier property markets. Here with me today is my colleague and friend, Roland Felber from Avaloq, to talk about COVID-19 has made an impact to the work processes, workforce and workplace in the fintech sector, and how Avaloq is responding to the changing market conditions amid this challenging period. Roland, good morning. Welcome. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Rick. I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much also for inviting me to this morning podcast call. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much for joining. So why don't we get straight into it? So COVID-19 has had a pretty dramatic effect on the workforce regionally and globally, which we've all seen. What has Avaloq's response both been at, I guess, a company level and as well as a real estate level?
So all this started like 5 months ago, and the first countries that were affected was here in Asia Pacific. So pretty quickly, our business continuity plans kicked in. This is something I was actually pretty impressed how smoothly that worked at the beginning, because a lot of things had been prepared like theoretically.
Right.
But in the end, we really needed it, and it worked out very well. Yeah. So with our locations in Hong Kong and the next also in Singapore. We have, for example, in Singapore, we have an active business continuity strategy where we have 2 offices, both of them operational at all times. So in case one of the locations goes down, the other one can seamlessly kick in without having to have another war zone where people go, and we have like an activation hours period of about 4 or 5 hours until people could actually work there. So this active business continuity strategy worked very well. We immediately, within an afternoon actually, we split the teams across 2 in half, and one of them worked in that office and the other one works in that office. This was in February. Beginning of February, we said we are going to do this for a couple of weeks, and then people will see each other again. And ever since, we don't see each other again. So,
and have you been doing this across your global locations, or is it only certain to Asia?
Yes, no. So it all started here in Asia. And the people in Europe, they were just monitoring the situation and what's going on over here. They heard about this term COVID and this strange flu. They didn't actually know what's going on, and suddenly they received requests from our side here, from Singapore in particular, that they said, "Hey, we ran out of masks and we cannot get hand sanitizers. Can you please ship them over to Singapore?" And at the beginning, they were surprised about these requests, and they were trying to find also those masks and hand sanitizers, and they really shipped them over to Singapore and also to other locations in Asia. And nobody had expected that a few weeks later, they themselves needed them. And this is where they tapped also onto the experience here from Asia. So what worked out very well for the European team was that they could really learn from the experience what we had then prepared in February and beginning of March here in Asia, before they had to also set up their own COVID task forces, move people to working from home, getting the hand sanitizers, putting the social distancing measures in place. So they also did something similar over there, also across all our locations. It's a bit different to them because this is also where our headquarters is. So far more people are affected. But similarly to Asia, our business continuity plans worked out pretty nicely, even though they were never planned for a pandemic, but rather for like earthquakes, power outages, and something similar. But it worked very nicely.
So you've mentioned a lot of challenges there,
Mm.
and I think there's a global topical conversation of we are going through what is considered as, I guess, the largest global experiment of remote working or work from home. What's your view on this?
So I keep saying nowadays, working from home is nice if not everybody does it. Um, so it is working from home in the past was seen as something that you do in addition to working in the office as well, or that there's like
Right.
some people that are called digital natives,
Digital
and they are
natives.
working
Okay.
from, yes, digital
Yeah.
natives that they don't really have offices, and then they travel around the world and work from home or from the hotel room or from wherever they are.
Right. Right.
Um, all of that sounds nice, but now what we have learned is it creates actually much more work working from home. There's so many people that are struggling working from home. They have to juggle, um, more the private life together with the professional life, all in one small space. Um, then the number of working hours has significantly increased. So there's already studies where they say people work now 2 to 3 hours more every single day
Hmm.
than they used to work from before. And I can confirm that it was the same at our end. The number of meetings significantly increased because in order to talk to someone, you have to meet. You have to have a virtual call. You have to have a virtual conference call, and uh, people are in conference calls for 8 to 12 hours a day. And people have been busier than ever before. It's harder
Mm.
to also reach the people, and it is it's another extreme that has happened, which is also it's not something that is going to stay exactly the same way as it was before. The other extreme, you have to be in the office all the time. Um, there was already tendencies before that this is also not something that is going to stay. So in the end, what we now for the last decades how one extreme works. Now, in a very short period of time, we learned how the other extreme works, and now we can work out how the best hybrid model works, the best
So,
of both
so how
worlds.
how are you looking at your portfolio in terms of, managing agile offices? And, do you think work from home or remote working is going to increase significantly the way that Avaloq conduct business and the way that we
Yes,
measure agile working?
yes. So we will have we will we are introducing already as we speak this HL working. We will have more and more with the hot desking. We will not have any more offices where we have like desks for every single person.
Okay.
um, the future will be that there is always a number of people, at least for the foreseeable future, people will be working from home. Others, and this was also already in the past, people work at the client side and others work in the office. So also across the real estate industry, we also know that usually there's maybe up only about 70% of the workforce, maybe in some locations or companies, only 50% of the actual workforce are in the office. Um, so this is going to stay actually be even worse. Right now, we are looking at a number of about 30 to 50% of the people will be in the office.
And because
So
Avaloq is a fintech company, right?
mm,
I mean, are you getting a lot of dialogue coming back to you from the business regarding change about what the future will look like?
well, we have there's always these two business divisions which I say. One is the ones that develop the software, and the other ones that operate the software for our clients.
Okay.
And the ones that develop our software, they also have always been already been on a very agile working setup, both the way they develop software, because this is already called like agile development, um, but also the way they work across different locations, like different continents. This is how we do our software development. We work with development partners as well,
Okay.
and people are working a lot on projects. So this is already kind of a very agile work setup. Yeah, one day you work in this location, the other day you work in a different office, and the next day you work at the client side. Whereas it's very different to those that operate our software. So these you need to consider as those people that work in the back office of a bank. They are not used to working from home at all. So for them,
Okay.
it was really a
Interesting.
significant change to suddenly have to work from home.
Hmm.
But now we know also for them it works. And what was very interesting is that at the beginning, when let's say the peak of this entire COVID happened, which was sometime during the period from mid-March until mid-April, across Asia and Europe, the number of transactions on our platform significantly increased because
Oh, really? Okay.
the financial market was very volatile,
Yes.
and our staff were able to to manage it even though they were working from home, and even though there was this transition happening from working from office to moving working from home. What made this possible is something what Avaloq has significantly invested in the last few years, and this was our IT infrastructure,
Okay.
internally and also for our clients.
Okay.
So um, in order to make HL properly work, it is so important to have a good IT infrastructure in place. It was very smoothly for our people to move to work from home. They had good laptops, we have good virtual environments, we have um, data centers set up across different continents that reduces the latency.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, we have our already before, yeah, since our company works across different locations a lot already. People are used to have virtual meetings, just not
Of
to that
course.
extent what we have now.
Right.
Um, but what really supported this entire um, working from home was that our IT infrastructure was really in place. I mean, I heard stories from companies that couldn't even get laptops anymore in the market because they were just not available anymore. All these PC manufacturers, they all had to pause their the manufacturing in China. So you couldn't get laptops anymore anywhere. Yeah, and there were companies that were struggling to give their staff the required IT infrastructure in order for them to make it possible to work from home. So for us, it was easy in that sense. That the bigger problem was more that how could like, well, here I would say in Asia, the bigger problem is that uh, people don't live like alone at home, and but they share
Of
their
course.
apartments with their partners, with the
And a
family, maybe
family.
even with the
Yes.
parents. So this is the bigger challenge what we have had and what we still have, and this is also where we see that in particular when we now return to office, this is the group of people that will also be prioritized in going back to home, so the back to office. So they will not go back to office because um, the IT infrastructure doesn't work properly, or they couldn't work really from home because something of their tech infrastructure doesn't work, that they don't have the phone calls or that they cannot have the interaction. It's more like for them to have peace, to work more productively, so that they get a bit of
Sure.
a distance from from
Yeah. So
the environment they have
with
at home.
those challenges in mind from the, I guess the IT, the HR, I guess I'd say the internal business challenges. How does that relate to, say, your real estate? I mean, Are you as a business analyzing your leases for opportunities, restructures, flexible solutions, or do you
Yes.
see it a mix of everything? Like what sort of strategy are you adopting, and what do you think the trends will be?
So the strategy is still being written as we speak at the
Right.
moment, yeah, because there is
Okay.
so many things still happening concurrently, and we have to take on also the learnings what we have had over the last few weeks and months. But we are definitely relooking into all our leases. We have a couple of leases coming up for renewal across the globe, and we when we analyze those leases, this is already changing. So in terms of what's the square feet size we need per person, it's not anymore so much per head count. So it's really now considered into how many people we really assume are going to work in the office. So in the past, we assumed almost 70 to 100% of the workforce will work in the office.
Mm,
Now we will
mm,
reduce it to 30 to 50% of the people will work in the office.
okay.
Um, what is changing also is the period of the leases. So whether we really want to commit for another 5 or 6 years, now we know that the world can significantly change with a matter of time, with a very short period of time.
So you
Who would
foresee
have
shorter
thought?
lease terms?
Maybe shorter lease terms,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
So more flexibility in all ways. Yeah. So flexibility in lease terms, flexibility in layout. What we also see is the people, there's the social distancing, and the social distancing has to stay in for quite a while. We know that already. So um, in the past, it has been how many, well, to try to make the space as compact as possible, fit
Hmm.
in, make the meeting rooms a bit smaller. You can still
Very
fit in a
dense.
bit more people, make everything dense.
Mm,
This is not going to continue anymore. Yeah. So you want to create a bit more space. And again, what's not going to go away is the open floor planning, but you will create a bit more space. You will give the people a bit more space. You give them more desk space and more space in between the various desks in future.
mm.
So in the end, maybe the square feet sizes remains exactly the same. This is now what we are currently actually analyzing. It's just
And is
the
this
way
part
of
of
the
your
layout.
return to office plan as well? That you'll be looking at those social distancing measures and increasing that square footage?
Well, at the moment for our return to office strategy, it's more we are working with what we have at the moment. So we are not reducing desks, but we are not allowing to sit closely to each other anymore. So people are
Yeah,
not allowed. There is nobody allowed to sit in front of someone, next to someone, or behind someone.
understood.
And so already just that reduces definitely our capacity by 30 to 50%.
Mm.
How long this is going to stay, we will see. So this is also our first learnings. The first offices that return to office is actually today. No, tomorrow, because today in Europe is a public holiday. So the first offices that go return to offices are offices in Switzerland and in Germany.
Okay.
And these offices have been prepared the last 2 weeks. Um, with with a lot of these social distancing measures in place, the one I just said. We have our own booking tool now, where we can really track who is in the office, how many people are in the offices, and where do they sit. So we
Right.
developed this in-house and we rolled it out last week.
Mm.
So there will be a new few learnings coming in the next few weeks, and then at a later stage we might or might not roll it out in full or only partially in Asia.
Okay. Okay. And Roland, final question. Um, what do you see as the biggest impact of COVID-19, both personally and professionally?
Um, hmm, Definitely that the working from home is something that will really stay, and all companies have to make sure that they have the infrastructure in place to support it. It will be demanded from the staff, but also it is also required probably from the governments that companies can support working from home for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anything agile, anything mobile, anything related to flexibility. This is what were trends in the past already that they were going to come at some point. They are here now, and they are really going to stay.
Yes.
And this is really the biggest change. Also now, like one of the biggest impacts is suddenly people don't commute so much anymore. They really work more from home. What is the impact exactly to the to the CBDs, to our large office buildings, to the restaurants around it? It's also a huge impact. There's so many other impacts when it comes to to the food delivery, e-commerce. So the people will be more dispersed, and they will remain dispersed for a long period of time. And I see this is one of the real biggest changes that will always stay. What is also a very interesting, I would say this is more like a learning, how we have seen which social creatures people really are. So
Interesting.
you see it from even though people always wanted to work from home, but what everybody is technically missing is the social interaction with the people. Even though you have the social interaction all the time virtually, you need to have it also on a proper face-to-face interaction level. People miss the after work drinks, the lunch togethers, the informal chats over coffee when they just
That
accidentally
human
cross the path.
interaction,
The human,
social element.
exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So this is a big learning, how important this is actually to people, and you could only see it and learn it by removing it from the people's life. This is what has happened over the last few months, and
Yes.
this is where I would say this is something what need to be put into considerations, taken into considerations for the planning of future spaces. So people will be working from home, but when they go back to office, how can you foster and enable this social interaction even more instead of separating them again so much out and then they don't interact much?
Well, Roland, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening to our audience to Colliers COVID-19 Now and Next podcast. Be sure to tune in for our next episode. Please visit covid19.colliers.com for our insights and recommendations on the impact of COVID-19 across global real estate markets. Thank you, and we'll speak to you all very soon.